Hello everybody and welcome to my studio. So if you're new here, my name is Annie. I am a potter and I'm working on becoming a self-published author as well. But today we're going to be in my studio because I have a new clay that I'm going to be using. I say new clay, I've used it a couple of times, but it isn't the typical clay I usually use. So I usually use a white clay, do a lot of underglazes, colors, carving, things like that. It's usually what I typically do. But in the summer, when I have access to my hose and can clean my studio more regularly, I bring out the red clay. And so I'm really excited. I have one bag of red clay left. If you've watched any of my other videos, like last year and stuff, I was so heartbroken when they told me that they were discontinuing this red clay. I love it so much. And I have yet to find another clay that does the same things, that lets me do these techniques that I do. So this is one of my dragon egg mugs. So I do the sodium silicate on the front, which just kind of creates a crackle texture on the surface. That's what I normally do, is make these dragon egg mugs, and that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing any dragon sculpting or not. It'll depend on whether or not I have enough time to really, just because I have a show coming up and that's what I'm making them for. I promised them, when I was doing the application and stuff, I was like, oh, I'll have some of these mugs and stuff, and I'm pretty sure these mugs are the ones that got me into the show, so I probably should make some for the show. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We're bringing red clay back. I'm going to be going through what I do differently with the red clay, and just the process, and show you my making, and it's just going to kind of be a fun day in the studio where we can make these beautiful mugs. So yeah. So this red clay I got last year. Again, I was just trying to buy it before it was all out, and I couldn't get any more. So it's a little hard. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen it up a bit. And by loosen it up a bit, I mean just throw it on the ground a couple of times. So yeah. There we go, it's starting to soften up a bit. Alright, so we've got the clay softened up. It's letting me push my finger through it now, so I think we're good to use it. That's usually kind of how I test if the clay's too hard or not, is if I can leave fingerprints in it, right? Whether it's easy to leave the fingerprints or harder. That's usually how I test it out. Anyways, we got it softened up, and now I'm out of breath. Got my exercise in for the week, right? Anyways, so we're mostly going to be making mugs. I might make a couple of cups just because I've had requests for them, but I know the mugs are really what sells. So I am going to be mostly making mugs, and I usually use about 2 pounds for my mugs with my white clay. My red clay, though, it usually goes a little further, so I might maybe do like 1.5 pounds, maybe a little bit more than that. And yeah, we're just gonna cut them up into pieces that are about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, and then we'll get going and throwing them on the wheel. I did clean my wheel, so yeah, I'll get into kind of how I change between colored clays, especially when they're so dramatic, like white and red, right? And kind of how I avoid, as much as you can, the contamination between the white and the red. So yeah. So one of the things I do is I have different damp boxes for each of the clays. So this is the red clay damp boxes. And I use damp boxes in everything I do. I live in the north, it's pretty cold, and the weather is kind of all over the place. So the damp boxes are a way that I can ensure that my mugs are drying at a rate that's controllable and even. And so I've got these damp boxes are for my red clay, and that's what we're going to be using today. So when the white clay gets into the red, it doesn't really do too much to it. It's a pretty sturdy, hardy clay. But when the red goes into the white, you can, one, tell because it's such a stark difference in color, and two, my white clay just doesn't like things. So I usually find that, you know, it's best just to keep them separate if I can. So what else I do is I have a bat system specifically for my red clay. Also, with my red clay, I normally use a sodium silicate, and that can kind of be harsh and rough on the bats and stuff. So keeping them separate and having just a dedicated bat system for my red clay makes it so that like the bats in the bat system I have for my white clay doesn't get contaminated with the sodium silicate or the red, and it kind of just keeps things easier and easier to manage. So yeah, so I have a bat system for that. And then I also have red clay sponges, ribs, wire cutter, all of that. All those kinds of tools I usually use for throwing are dedicated to the red. I have a set for red and I have a set for white. And again, that's just kind of to make my life a little easier and making sure that I don't get the red clay and the white clay. So yeah, so those are kind of some of the things that I do in my studio to kind of keep them separate. The damp boxes is a huge thing, you know, it's because there's like a dedicated space for them. I don't have to worry about them touching or interacting with each other. I do usually fire them separately as well. I'm not sure if I will with having the bigger kiln. I probably could fit everything in the bigger kiln. I don't know. We'll think about that. But I usually, with my smaller kiln, would fire them separately, and it just kind of made it easier to manage having two different clays in the studio to do that. So yeah, I do. Also, if I am going from white to red or red to white, will clean my wheel between each session that I do. So I did just clean it from doing the white bump cups that I did that are like behind me. They're right there drying. So I just got finished throwing those, so I did clean my wheel. I will be doing the sodium silicate with the red, so I will clean my wheel again. Because these ones are going to need to be trimmed at some point, so it's better just to do it after I'm done with this round. And I made sure to leave myself a lot of time today specifically to just do the red, to be able to clean things, to be able to keep the pieces separate from each other. So yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm gonna start cutting up the red clay and we'll get into throwing some pieces. So I have about half a bag left over from throwing today, and I've got about 6 cups. I forgot how much longer these cups, the mugs, take to make than any of my other things. Just doing the sodium silicate and getting all that cool crackle texture just takes a long time. So that's what I got so far. There's also, with these bats, there's not enough room to put any more. So I'm going to let these dry, and then we'll trim them at handles. And then I'm probably going to do some throwing after I get these trimmed and stuff, so that I can stick them in here again. Because, like I said, I don't really have any more room because of these bats being such a different shape. My other bats that I use for my white clay, I can fit 6 in here per damp box. But yeah, that's where we're at for today. We didn't get a ton done, but at least I got some of the sodium silicate done. And like I said, I'll probably throw again maybe next week or the week after when these guys are ready to trim. So that's all we really have for today. Let me know if you would like me to do like thoughts of the pottery wheel with trimming and stuff. Like, let me know in the comments, because I might try to do that video next, or I might do a vlog. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be doing in the studio is just going to be getting ready for the next show that I have in June, which is a little ways off, and that's a nice breather. Like, I'm a little bit more on the ball with this one, so that was nice to be able to get a lot of that stuff done. Like the red clay mugs, I know take longer. Maybe I didn't remember exactly how long, but I did remember that they took longer, so I was like, oh, I gotta get them started now. So that's a little bit of a relief to have at least some of those pieces done for the show. I probably will do another session though, just because I know those mugs usually sell pretty well, and if they don't sell well at the show, there's always online. So that's kind of all I have for today. We're just doing a little, you know, day in the life studio vlog kind of thing. Yeah, and I will see you next week. Bye.